So I thought today would be a good day to get on my bike and start saying goodbye to my town, my hometown, where I've lived for quite some time. And I'm going to be leaving soon because my house is being foreclosed. And that's just the way it is. So you can see I live in a very beautiful area here. And what I tried to do when I bought this house was buy a house that could be used for my wine business and build a cave and a winery and a lovely tasting room. So it had to have lots of room. It had to be proximate on the highway and close to town, which it is. It's only about a mile outside of town. And then it had to have, all of the acceptable stuff so that I can enlarge the property and make it into a business. And of course, I couldn't afford, in 2017, a multi-million-dollar house. But in this area of Healdsburg, everything's $1 million, even then. So I bought the worst property in the best area in terms of the wine business. Now there's a lot of old houses on this road because it's been populated since the early 1800s by agricultural families. And in fact, my house was built in 1865. And it was in pretty bad shape when I bought it. And so I thought that it would take me 10 years to get it into order. So that would have been next year that I would have been done. But I guess I only got about halfway. I had to do drainage, I had to do electric, I had to do plumbing, I had to do foundation. I had to do all the stuff that you can't see when you come into a house. But it's the infrastructure that allows a house to be dry and safe and comfortable. So then we had fires, and then we had COVID, and then we had inflation, and then we had high interest rates, and then finally in 2024 the wine business collapsed. And since I'm in the wine business, that meant that my source of income and my business that I'd had for 20 years went under. Now, to add insult to injury, I went through a pretty nasty equivalent of a divorce, which further wounded me financially. And that's just how it went. You don't plan for these things. And I should have seen it coming, but I didn't. And I hung on as long as I could. And I made the big mistake of borrowing against my house to finance the divorce and borrowing against the house to keep my business afloat. In hindsight, what I should have done was immediately shut down the business and put the house up for sale. But the bad parts of the business didn't show up until maybe 24, really, is when it really started getting bad. And then by then it was too late. I'd already spent, a couple $100,000 trying to keep everything afloat. But what they say, of course, is hindsight is 20/20. And Lord knows I got 20/20 hindsight now. I got to pay attention really closely at this intersection because it is really, really busy and people go tearing through here like crazy. And then I got to cross the street and get on the bike path. Now, it's very expensive to live in Healdsburg, of course. You got to be a zillionaire, really. And I'm not, so it didn't work out for me. But The good news is that I'm still standing. I'm going to move into my trailer, and I think it's a good move for me. I've had to shut down my business, and I had multiple leased locations that I had, winery, factory supplies in, and I'll take you by those, and we will see what once was. And then come back, and I got this drone for $99. Actually, I even think it was $59 because I had a coupon, and I want to fly that drone around a little bit. I'm not prepared to spend $1,000 or $2,000 on a drone. There's just no way. That's just too much. And plus, they get lost apparently all the time. But they sure are pretty when you have these drone footage of yourself riding along or driving along. I particularly like the ones of people that have cruise ship boats, and they're having their drone follow them along as they're sailing through the 7 seas. Anyway, we're going down one of these great bike paths, and this is a lot of fun. I really like this A-Pass bike that I have. I posted something on the RV Test Kitchen Facebook page and about how nice it is. It's heavy duty. It goes faster than I really want it to, and I haven't even set it up for super fast. I feel pretty comfortable going about 20 miles an hour. This is often where I walk my dogs down this road. Such a gorgeous spring day today here. It's like perfect. It's maybe 70 degrees. There's no wind. I'm just pleased as punch to be riding around today, and I really can't wait to be riding around once I leave town and go across the United States. I'm still having a hard time disposing of the rest of my belongings, and I need the money, so obviously I need to sell everything I can. And I still have winery equipment and personal things and a hot tub, and all that could bring in tens of thousands of dollars possibly, and I could use the money. So I've been selling all that stuff and been doing a pretty good job of it. But the reality is when you go from a large house and a multi-decade business, you are going to have a lot of stuff left over. So I've been trying to give away as much stuff as I possibly can. People are looking at me weird because I'm riding along the road and I'm talking to myself, but really I'm talking to you. So, okay, here we go. Let's see. I think what we're going to do here is make a left and go into town so you can see this pretty town. Oh, maybe we'll go straight one more block. This nice area that I used to live in. Oop, hit the beeper. I wasn't honking at you, it was an accident. The button, the horn button is in a not really convenient place on this, but I guess they feel like they need to have it as proximate as they can. But anyway, so this is an A-Pass M2, so it kind of has the girl sloping center instead of me having to throw my leg over the top, which is getting harder and harder. And I don't mind running a girl bike. Well, it's not really a girl bike. It's just convenient to get on and off. And I'm going to really be riding this around a lot, I think, once I get out on the road and to places that have riding trails and tourist places that are great for riding. And since it's so easy to ride and the battery lasts a long time, you could cover a lot of ground. All right, now I'm going to turn into town so you can see, get a little tour of my stomping grounds of Healdsburg. It's a really nice little town, but it's very touristy. It's really meant for the wine tourists who have pretty much stopped coming. And you know, I imagine this downturn is going to be, it has been multi-years and it's going to be even more years. But we're surrounded by restaurants and tasting rooms and cute little shops. But today is a Thursday, and the town's still pretty busy, but it's all surrounded on a little square. We'll go right through the square and have a look. I mean, if you got money, I'd say definitely visit here. But it's really expensive. It used to be you could come up and spend the day, and if you wanted to get a cheap hotel room, just taste some wine and spend a couple $100. But now, hotel rooms are $500 to $1,000. Whoa! Really good job, dude. You got to be careful around here. So anyway, here's the square. So you can see right ahead of me is a tasting room that's been about 10 different things since I've lived here, and it's empty now. They say it's the most expensive rent in town. At one point they were asking $14,000 in rent per month for that spot. And then there's another tasting room on my left, and you can see the square on the right there. And now we're coming up to my old tasting room, which I really loved, and I was so excited to get it, but I lost it. And in a way, it was a good thing. I don't want to cause a scene, so maybe we'll just turn around here and point ourselves at it a little bit. There it is right there. Now, obviously, it's something else, but that's the way it goes in the big city. All right, now we'll go to my winery, which is very exciting. Not mine anymore, of course, but it's a warehouse spot where I was very excited to get. In fact, at some point had to live in it because we're so broke when we first started, and now broke again. But it's a nice spot for making wine, and it's right in town. So you can see left and right, tasting. One of my right there is an empty tasting room, and I guess it's going to be another one. And I don't understand how the people who are moving into these, $5,000 to $10,000 a month spaces are going to make it. I mean, I ran as lean and mean as an organization as you could possibly run, and I couldn't make it. So I think in the end, nowadays, you really just need to be rich, have a trust fund, or be retired and have a large income so you can just spend it on running a store. I don't see how anyone makes money now in a small business in a decent area. I have understood that dry cleaners are the most profitable business there are. Well, I didn't want to run a dry cleaning business, and I did really love making wine, and so I still really enjoy sharing it with people. I bring some around with me when I get across the country, and I'll be excited to share it with people. And most people have a romantic view of owning a winery and being a winemaker and owning a vineyard, all of which I've done for 20 years. And I don't want to burst their bubble, but it's not all as romantic as you might think, although I've had some wonderful times. And making wine for people is one of the most enjoyable things you can do, especially if you feel like wine is a healthful, wonderful product that brings people together and, facilitates happiness for people, especially at great occasions like weddings. On the right-hand side here is one of the largest champagne producer, or not champagne, but sparkling producer in the area. Oh, shit, we passed my winery. Let's go back. Look at me, just passing it up. There it is. So I spent a lot of hours in this parking lot just making wine, hosting people. We had big disco parties, and I'll show some pictures of that, and a lot of thousands of customers and decades of good times. I mean, it wasn't ever easy, I would say, but it was exciting. You know, I loved owning my own business, even though it's very difficult, and we started it with nothing. But things don't last forever, particularly nowadays in California. And I don't want to get me going about California, because I just think it's a rotten place to own a business and an impossible place to live. I just don't see how people are making it here anymore. I made really good money through the years, but I never got to keep any of it, really. It all went back into the business, basically, trying to improve the business and create something that would last. And of course, it didn't last. Well, 20 years, I kind of think I should be grateful for doing something that so many people want to do. I read somewhere that Charles Schwab did a survey of retired people, and the number one thing they wanted to do was own a vineyard and make wine. I doubt that's true anymore, but I bet you I could dig up that survey somewhere, and I believe it's true. Anywhere I go where I tell people I'm a winemaker, a former winemaker, they just absolutely lose their mind and want to talk about it, and I'm happy to. In fact, I hope when I get out to the South that maybe I could go on a little lecture tour, bring some wine, and talk to people about what it's like to be a winemaker and live in California during the last part of the century and the first part of the new century, kind of the glory years, really. All right, well, I got to get some dog food, so the dogs aren't happy with me. I didn't feed them enough this morning. So I'm going to get some dog food, and I'll see you guys later.